Imagine an operating system for the human soul.
Right, like the with no single developer.
Exactly. No single developer, no mandatory updates, and the source code is entirely open for you to edit and, adapt to your own hardware.
Which is wild when you think about it compared to most systems.
It is. So today we are looking at the oldest living religion on Earth. But not as some rigid set of dogmatic rules. We're looking at it as an incredibly ancient, highly adaptable technology for human consciousness.
Yeah, that's a great way to frame it.
Welcome, learner, to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to explore the foundations of Hinduism through the lens of Swami Sivananda's comprehensive work, all about Hinduism.
And we really want to figure out how this ancient tradition offers highly practical tools for modern life.
Without demanding blind faith either. Whether you're exploring Eastern philosophy for the first time or just looking to deepen your understanding of global cultures, this is for you. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and to really unpack it, we have to start by defining what we even mean when we use the word religion in this specific context.
Right, because we carry a lot of baggage with that word.
We do. So if you look at the Latin root of the word religio, it's built from re, meaning back, and ligare, which means to bind.
To bind back.
Exactly. The fundamental purpose of religion is quite literally to bind the soul back to its source.
Which addresses a very specific psychological mechanism in us. We are built with this deep inward craving.
Oh, absolutely.
You can achieve incredible material prosperity, right? You can secure the house, the car, the career, and yet the dopamine hit fades.
It always does.
Yeah, a time inevitably comes when that external success just doesn't satisfy that baseline human hankering for ultimate peace.
Right. And so religion in this framework isn't about appeasing some distant, angry deity. It's the structured process of answering that internal craving by binding consciousness back to a state of unity.
But what's super fascinating here is how the terminology we use today completely misrepresents that original intent.
Yeah, the name itself is a huge misunderstanding.
Because we already know the term Hindu actually started as a geographical map coordinate used by the ancient Persians.
Right, it's a literal line on a map.
The real puzzle is how it absorbed an entire spiritual framework. So the Persians encountered the Aryans living near the Sindhu River, right? And they mispronounced it as Hindu.
Because of the language barrier. Yeah.
Exactly, and they applied it to the people there. Then the Greeks later dropped the H to make it Indu, which is actually what gave us the name India. It was purely a locational marker.
Within the tradition itself, though, the true name is Sanatana Dharma.
Sanatana Dharma.
Right, which translates to the eternal religion, or Vedika Dharma, the religion of the Vedas.
Okay, wait, why eternal, though?
Well, it's called eternal because it isn't tied to a specific starting date in human history. It's viewed as the bedrock of universal spiritual truth, like truth that exists whether humans are aware of them or not.
Oh, almost like gravity.
Exactly like gravity.
Hold on, though. I have to push back a little here. You can't just take a Persian map coordinate and magically turn it into a cohesive national and spiritual identity. Heroes laid down their lives to protect this identity. What actually bridged that gap? How does a mispronounced river become a religion?
So it happened through this millennia-long process of cultural synthesis.
Okay.
The history, the ideals, and the virtues of the people living in that specific region became inextricably bound to that geographical label. The name Hindu just absorbed the culture.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, all their philosophy, their remarkable tolerance, their pursuit of self-realization, those virtues fused with the word itself. Seers wrote texts for this collective. And over generations, what began as an external identifier transformed into a symbol of a massive, shared spiritual heritage.
So the people basically infused the word with its meaning through their lived experience.
Exactly.
And that brings up a massive structural difference. If we look at Buddhism, Christianity, or Islam, there is a clear founder, right?
Right, a specific historical figure.
Yeah, there is a specific date on a calendar where the movement began. Hinduism completely lacks that.
It lacks a founder because it is what is classified as a revealed religion. It wasn't invented by a prophet. It is based on the direct, intuitive spiritual experiences of ancient seers, who are known as rishis.
And there is a specific term in the text for that direct experience, aparoksha anubhuti.
Yes.
Let's break that down for the learner because it's critical to understanding the whole system.
So aparoksha anubhuti means direct, infallible realization of truth.
Direct realization.
Right. It is not a belief. He is not taking someone else's word for it. These rishis operated more like spiritual physicists.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they didn't invent the laws of consciousness any more than Isaac Newton invented gravity. They turned their attention inward, discovered the underlying mechanics of reality, and then recorded those cosmic truths in the ancient scriptures known as the Vedas.
Because it's based on these universal discoveries rather than a single person's mandate, it creates this incredible architecture of absolute freedom.
Yes, the religion of freedom.
It does not dogmatically claim to be the only path to emancipation. Going back to our intro, it's an open source operating system. You have access to the core code of the universe, but you can build the interface that works for your specific stage of evolution.
I do really like the open source analogy, but we need to be a little careful with it.
Why is that?
Because it doesn't mean anything goes. If you are running an open source operating system like Linux, right, you can change the desktop wallpaper, you can change the applications.
Sure.
But if you mess with the kernel, the core code that tells the hardware how to function, the entire system crashes.
Right. Okay, so what is the kernel in this analogy? What keeps the definition of a Hindu from just dissolving into total chaos if there isn't a strict proprietary set of rules?
The kernel consists of a few foundational frameworks. To be considered a Hindu generally means accepting the authority of the Vedas, believing in one supreme being, and having absolute faith in the law of karma.
The fundamental law of cause and effect.
Exactly. It also includes the mechanism of reincarnation and the practice of certain ethical duties. As long as that core kernel is intact, the outer interface, like the specific deities you pray to or the rituals you perform, can be completely customized.
Which explains one of the most surprising aspects of this framework for a lot of people. It actually accommodates atheism.
It does. It doesn't condemn those who deny God as a creator.
Or even those who don't believe in an eternal soul.
Right. They aren't considered unfit for the religious society or excommunicated.
And the logic behind why atheism is allowed is what really shifts the paradigm here.
How so?
Because Hinduism views religion as an empirical science of the mind, a process of discovering truth, rather than a dogma of blind belief. So an atheist who is earnestly seeking truth is actually perfectly aligned with the ultimate goal.
Oh, that's a great point.
They are just using a different diagnostic tool to analyze the universe. They are allowed absolute freedom of reason.
Precisely. Because if the ultimate reality is truth, then rigorous, rational investigation will eventually lead you there, even if you start by denying a creator deity.
Yeah.
And this is why the system strongly emphasizes practice over theory. It is not armchair philosophy.
Right, Sivananda is very clear about that.
Vain intellectual debate is seen as a complete waste of energy. The philosophy provides the rational blueprint, but the religion itself is the practical application of that blueprint in your daily life.
And it is universally accessible. You don't have to retreat to some cave in the Himalayas to practice this.
No, not at all.
The spiritual food is available to everyone, a scavenger, a cobbler, or a peasant, right in the middle of their daily work. There's this incredibly vivid example in the text of the barber in India.
Ah, yes, the singing barber.
Yes. Before he even picks up his razor to give a shave, he is silently repeating a specific phrase. Om Namah Shivaya Sivaham.
Let's unpack that phrase for a second because it perfectly illustrates the entire practical mechanism of the religion. Sivaham literally translates to, I am Shiva.
I am Shiva.
Right, so when that barber repeats it, amidst the heat, the clippers, the mundane reality of cutting hair, he is actively reminding himself that the divine is not locked away in a temple somewhere.
Wow.
The divine is his own consciousness. He is spiritualizing his immediate mundane environment.
It's the ultimate democratization of spirituality, and it's this precise practicality that has drawn so much fascination from Western thinkers over the years.
Definitely.
Like Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, he studied the Upanishads, which is the knowledge portion of the Vedas, and he actually read them every single night before bed.
Really? Every night?
Yeah, he found profound psychological solace in them because they didn't ask him to suspend his intellect.
And we see that same practical draw today with systems like Raja Yoga and Hatha Yoga. People travel from all over the globe to the Himalayas to learn these, often completely misunderstanding what they actually are.
Right, because Hatha Yoga is not just a stretching routine you do in expensive athletic wear.
No, it is a highly specific technology for regulating the nervous system and aligning the physical vehicle so that the mind can achieve sustained focus.
And then Raja Yoga takes that focus and applies it directly to the mind.
Exactly. Raja Yoga is essentially applied psychology. It breaks down the mechanics of human attention, teaching you how to observe your own thoughts, dismantle the ego, and control the senses. These aren't just belief systems, they are cognitive technologies.
Okay, so let's bring this right down to the learner listening right now. Let's say you're dealing with a stressful job, a chaotic family life, and a constant barrage of digital noise. How do these ancient technologies actually help someone trying to find self-realization today?
Well, it requires redefining what self-realization actually means. The goal is moksha, which means liberation.
Okay.
But specifically, the ideal is to become a jivanmukta, which means a liberated sage while still living. It is not an escape from reality, it is an immersion into reality with a completely different state of consciousness.
So it's injecting the spiritual into Tuesday morning traffic.
That is the perfect way to put it. And the mechanism for doing that is karma yoga, the yoga of action.
How does that work in practice?
It means doing your job, raising your family, paying your taxes, but doing it while systematically letting go of your selfish attachment to the results of your work.
Ah, detaching from the outcome.
Right. You treat the action itself as the offering, as the meditation. When you do that, the stress of the chaotic job begins to dissolve because your internal peace is no longer dependent on external outcomes.
You are utilizing the external world as a gym for your internal consciousness.
Yes.
And the environment where this philosophy evolved seems to have played a massive role in shaping it. India's geography and its spiritual soil are uniquely suited for this kind of inward focus.
It really is a culture that has historically prioritized the spiritual over the purely material. I mean, it's produced giants of divine contemplation like Sankara, Ramanuja, and Buddha.
And that leads to a really fascinating historical paradox regarding conquest. If you look at human history, empires usually measure their greatness by how much of the map they can physically conquer.
Sure. Rome, the Mongols.
Right. But India, historically, never sought military conquest or the annexation of dominions.
Because her ambition wasn't outer conquest. It was amasvaraja,
Which means?
absolute independence, or the inner spiritual conquest of the self. The weapon wasn't the sword. It was ahimsa, the principle of nonviolence.
Which naturally brings us to the ultimate question of survival. If you have a massive, decentralized, open-source religion that prioritizes inner peace and nonviolence, how on earth does it survive an invasion of swords and cannons?
That's the big question.
Because it faced fierce battles, severe hardships, and centuries of horrific treatment from foreign invaders.
It survived precisely because of its structural elasticity. Think about rigid systems, the systems built on fanaticism and absolute dogmatic compliance.
Yeah.
They're brittle.
Like glass.
Exactly. When put under extreme historical pressure, they snap.
Mm-hmm.
Hinduism survived because it is characterized by wide toleration and an ability to adapt without losing its core.
Let's take the skyscraper analogy we often use and take it a step deeper to understand this mechanism.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you build a skyscraper completely rigid, made of solid stone, the first major earthquake will shatter it. Modern skyscrapers survive because they are built to flex. They have a core of steel, what this framework calls being stern and rigid regarding the fundamentals, like the law of karma and the immortal nature of the soul.
Right, that is the kernel we talked about earlier.
Exactly. But the exterior, the windows, the drywall, the externals and non-essentials of religion are built to sway. So when foreign conquerors arrived and destroyed physical temples or outlawed public rituals, the system didn't collapse.
The building swayed.
Yes. The daily rituals, the social customs, the external interface simply flexed. The practices went underground or adapted to the new political climate, while the steel core, that internal realization of Sivaham, I am Shiva, remained completely untouched inside the minds of the practitioners.
That's a brilliant way to visualize it.
You can burn down a building, but you can't burn down an internal psychological realization.
You really can't. That elasticity is the secret to surviving millennia. It doesn't rely on a central headquarters or a vulnerable physical institution to maintain its truth.
So we've traced this incredible arc today. We started with a mispronounced river, we looked at the open-source architecture of the Vedas, saw the practical application in a singing barber, and uncovered the mechanical secret to its earthquake-proof survival.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. So where does this all point? What is the ultimate vision that Swami Sivananda is presenting here?
The ultimate vision is actually a message for the future. Sivananda presents Hinduism not as some archaic relic, but as a universal religion, offering a deeply necessary message to a modern world that is currently fractured by hatred, dissension, and war.
And what is that message, mechanically speaking?
It is the message of cosmic love, truth, and the Upanishadic oneness of the self. It is the empirical realization that all existence is one single vibrating life.
Wow.
When you strip away the dogma, the rituals, and the cultural context, the underlying science of this religion points to the absolute unity of all consciousness.
And that connects directly back to you, the learner. The ultimate takeaway from our deep dive today isn't just that you learn the etymology of a Sanskrit word or the historical timeline of the Vedas.
Much more practical than that.
It is about recognizing a profound, tested framework for seeking unity and peace in your own daily life.
It provides the tools to stop looking for external salvation and start spiritualizing your immediate reality. The laboratory is your own mind, and the experiment is your daily life.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. The foundation of Hindu ethics states clearly that there is one common consciousness in all beings. Therefore, injuring a neighbor is quite literally injuring yourself, because that neighbor is yourself just experiencing reality from a different set of coordinates.
That's an vantage point.
Exactly. So think about this. If we truly actively adopted that empirical perspective tomorrow, if you genuinely realize that the person cutting you off in traffic or the stranger arguing with you online is quite literally a manifestation of your own consciousness, how would that completely rewrite the rules of human society?